Welcome to the Lectionary Bible Study for July the 5th, 2026. The epistle reading comes from Romans chapter 7, 15 through 25a. When we read the text, we look at the historical context and we look at the language that's used. We also look at the tradition and how it's been interpreted over time. But we also think about what is it that's going on right now, and how does this text shape how we think about our present and maybe even imagine our future and also grapple with our past. Well, Sunday is the day after the 4th of July, a 250th celebration of independence. But are we truly independent? In that context, we hear these words, I don't understand my own actions. I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing that I hate. For if I do what I do not want, I agree that the law is good. But in fact, it's no longer I that do it, but sin that dwells in me. For I know nothing good dwells within me, that is, in my flesh. I can will what is right, but cannot do it. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I do. Now, if I do what I do not want, it's no longer I that do it, but the sin that dwells within me. So I find it to be a law that when I want to do good, evil is close at hand. For I delight in the law of God in my inmost self, but I see my members another law, at war with the law of my mind, making me a captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members. Wretched man am I. Who will rescue me from this body of death? Thanks be to God through Jesus Christ our Lord. Doesn't matter how much we glorify independence or freedom, because we are still slaves to the human condition. Our fear of death, that fear that drives us to try to control our situation and our surrounding. We may pretend that tearing control of our lives away from a king makes us free. But then we place that control in people that we elect. We place that control in the worlds that we create. And then when the power goes out, the politicians become selfish. We realize that we obtained an illusion of freedom, but we're still not truly free. This was a concept that St. Augustine was struggling with, and he writes about it in his book, Confessions. He will hear a voice and pick up a book and read. And he'll say that's the moment of his conversion. But the ground needed to be prepared. So before he heard that voice, he had to fall on his knees and confess that he is a wretch. What a wretch I am. Who will rescue me? What led him to that was a question posed by a lady he was speaking with. And she said, why are you relying on yourself only to find yourself unreliable? Cast yourself upon him. Do not be afraid. He will not withdraw himself that you fall. Make the leap without anxiety. He will catch you and heal you. Oh, that leap of faith. The faith that saves, the faith that redeems. But what are we leaping from? We're leaping from the illusion that we are in control. It's an illusion that exists strongly in the culture here in West Texas, all over the U.S. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Buckle up, buttercup. Dig a little deeper. All those things that we use to encourage people when they're struggling with something. Encouraging them to go the extra mile, to find strength within themselves, to go a little bit further. But Paul argues in Romans that he has dug as deep as the well goes, and he still falls short. Augustine finds himself unreliable. All of this points to the very simple fact that we're not God. We fail and we fall. We may create the illusion of power until we become powerless. We may create the illusion that we're on top of the world until age or disease, financial markets, wars bring us to our knees and we find out that we are nothing. I thought I was a powerful swimmer. I was used to swimming every summer in the bay in Galveston. And the waves would come, but I was a powerful swimmer. So water had no fear for me. And when I swam out to the jetty in the Gulf of Mexico, I thought nothing of it. And when I was swimming back, I thought it's just a short swim. Current will take me most of the way until the current pulled me down into an undertow behind one of the jetties. It didn't matter how strong of a swimmer I was, how long I could hold my breath. I was powerless compared to the strength of that undertow. By the grace of God, I stopped trying to swim and just held out my hands. And as I was spinning, my hand caught a shell, and that shell buried itself in the sand. And with all my might, I pulled on the sand and the shell and pulled myself out of that undertow. Without the shell, I would have been dead. Without the grace of God, I would have been dead. There are moments when we realize that we are not in control. The illusion breaks. We realize that everything we have built and everything we have done will end. Unless it's built and done in God. The law reveals to us our humanity. The law is not there to punish us. The law is there to reveal to us that we all fall short of the glory of God. It's there to drive us, as it did Augustine, to make that leap and to lay everything down before God. It is there to humble us so that even when we think we are the most righteous person in the world, Jesus encounters us on a road to Damascus and blinds us with the truth of our own inadequacy and failures. The law is easily manipulated. The glory of God is not. We can convince ourselves we are on the right side, but we cannot do that when we face the truth of God. And we can blame it on our own sinful selves. But I think that old tirade has gone on long enough. God created us good. We were made good. And we were made human. And to be human is to be flawed. It's to be scared. It's to be afraid. It's to feel overwhelming desire for something or someone. It's to have our mind go places that we don't really want it to go. But it goes there anyway. Because we're weak. Because we're human. Because we need God. And it's God who shapes us and molds us. It's God who redirects our thoughts. It's God who reveals that in the flaw, the glory of God shines the brighter. And in what we think is perfection is just an illusion. Because only God is perfect. We say that we believe this as Christians. And yet, over and over again, in our churches and in our theology, we talk about total reliance on God and then tell our people how they're supposed to act and behave as if they have control or power. And as if they just follow this simple recipe that they will be saved. And we forget it's God alone that saves. And God saves those who make the leap of faith. The only thing we have to do is stop thinking that we can do it. Have faith that God can. That with God all things are possible. That babies can be born to 100-and-something-year-old women and girls who haven't even had their first menstrual cycle. That God can do the impossible. Mountains can move. Rivers and oceans can part. Storms can become silent. People can walk on water. Not by our strength, but by God's. The same sinful people we are do wonderful things when we allow God to use our flaws for God's glory. You're not evil. You're not bad. You're not inherently sinful. What you are is prideful. You've bought into the illusion that you're in control. And if you just try hard enough, pray hard enough, everyone will be healed and everything will be fixed. We don't live in a Disney movie. We live in God's creation, where things are born and grow and wither and die. It is the way it is. But no matter what stage we're at, God is with us and we are loved, flaws and all. The law humbles us so that in our humility we might learn to listen more, to be patient more, and to trust in God a little bit more. And maybe forgive ourselves and others for being human.